Assalamu'alaikum, dear brothers and sisters. Welcome back to the Islamic Circles channel. In this video, we will explore the history of Islam in Bulgaria and the harmonious life of Bulgarian Muslims after enduring the hardships of the communist era. At the heart of the Balkan Peninsula lies a land now known as Bulgaria. A crossroads of civilizations where East and West have met for thousands of years. It was in this region that Islam first became known long before the establishment of the modern Bulgarian state. Ethnically, the Muslim community in Bulgaria consists mainly of Turks, Bulgarians, and Roma people, most of whom live in the northeastern regions of the country. Today, the life of Muslims in Bulgaria is not defined by conflict or sensationalism, but by resilience and the ability to endure through changing times. Their lives continue in peaceful villages, where faith follows the rhythm of the seasons, in cities, where tradition meets modernity, and in ancient mosques that still stand firmly against the passage of time. Within a society dominated by Orthodox Christianity, Bulgarian Muslims continue to live side by side peacefully with their fellow citizens. Islamic identity in Bulgaria is practiced in a moderate and balanced way, reflected in family traditions, the celebrations of Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha, and the strong sense of community preserved in Muslim villages. However, the shadows of the past have not completely disappeared. The trauma caused by the assimilation policies during the Jivkov era still lives on in the collective memory of the Muslim community. At the same time, new challenges continue to emerge, ranging from growing secularism and the migration of younger generations to Western Europe to stereotypes about Islam that still exist in public discourse. The early history of Islam in Bulgaria began in the early 8th century, when the Islamic world was under the rule of the Umayyad Caliphate, which expanded into Anatolia and laid siege to Constantinople. During this significant historical event, Khan Tervel, the ruler of Bulgaria at the time, was recorded as helping the Byzantine Empire repel the siege of the Arab Muslim forces between 717 and 718. However, around 2 centuries later, the relationship that had once been marked by hostility gradually transformed into mutual cooperation. During the reign of Tsar Simeon I, Bulgaria and the Arab powers coordinated several attacks against the Byzantine Empire. From that period onward, Islam began to be recognized in Bulgaria not only as a religion but also as a great civilization, although its influence had not yet deeply taken root among the wider population. The widespread and lasting presence of Islam in Bulgaria only became fully established several centuries later, particularly from the 14th century onward, when the Balkan region came under the rule of the Ottoman Empire. For nearly 5 centuries, Islam became an inseparable part of Bulgarian society. Mosques, madrasas, and charitable waqf institutions were established throughout the region. It was during this period that the Bulgarian Muslim community emerged and developed, living side by side with Christians and creating a unique cultural mosaic in the Balkans. However, this situation changed dramatically after the Russo-Turkish War of 1877–1878. The formation of the modern Bulgarian state marked a major turning point for the Muslim community. During and after the war, Muslims faced mass violence, expulsions, and massacres. Hundreds of thousands of Muslims were forced to flee to Anatolia, while many mosques were destroyed or left abandoned. The Muslim elite lost their lands, influence, and social status. Suppression of Islamic identity became even stronger, especially during the communist era. Islamic clothing, including the hijab and traditional attire, was restricted. Circumcision practices and Islamic funeral ceremonies were limited, and many Muslim cemeteries and gravestones were destroyed. These policies were designed to pressure, and in some cases, force Muslims to abandon both their identity and their homeland. This oppression reached its peak during the rule of Todor Zhivkov. He became Bulgaria's dominant leader from 1954 until 1989, ruling for 35 years and becoming one of the longest-serving communist leaders in Eastern Europe. His era is remembered as one of the darkest periods for Islam in Bulgaria. Under policies of forced assimilation, Muslim religious and cultural identities were systematically suppressed. However, in November 1989, Todor Zhivkov was finally removed from power. Soon afterward, the communist system in Bulgaria collapsed, opening the way for the revival of religious life and Muslim identity throughout the country. Following the fall of the communist regime, mosques gradually reopened. Refugees slowly began returning to their homeland, while Islamic institutions were rebuilt step by step. A new generation of imams was trained, and Muslim identity once again began to flourish within society, emerging in a calmer form, yet with remarkable resilience and strength. Today, Muslims remain one of the largest religious minorities in Bulgaria. They live in villages nestled among the mountains, in urban neighborhoods, and beneath the shadows of historic mosques that still stand proudly to this day. It is estimated that around 10 to 12% of Bulgaria's population is Muslim. Ancient mosques continue to stand firmly, the call to prayer can still be heard, and Islamic traditions remain alive despite the severe oppression experienced during the communist era. In many mountainous regions, Muslim villages continue to serve as strongholds preserving Islamic traditions, cultural heritage, and religious values. The Muslim community in Bulgaria consists of several ethnic groups, including ethnic Turks, Pomaks Bulgarian-speaking Muslims and Roma Muslims. Each group has its own unique cultural expression, yet all are united by the same religious values. Life in these Muslim villages moves at a calmer pace, where Islam remains deeply connected to family life, tradition, and the strong sense of community. Religious knowledge among Bulgarian Muslims is often passed down orally through grandparents, village imams, and community gatherings. Islamic traditions continue to live within daily life, handed down from one generation to the next with simplicity, sincerity, and closeness among the people. Ramadan is celebrated collectively through communal iftar gatherings that strengthen social bonds within the community. Weddings, funerals, and circumcision ceremonies remain centered around communal life, reinforcing solidarity, togetherness, and mutual support among the people. Despite economic challenges and the growing migration of younger generations to major cities or abroad, Muslim villages in Bulgaria continue to preserve a distinct Islamic identity that is deeply rooted in the cultural landscape of the country. Their way of life reflects a blend of local traditions and Islamic values that have been passed down for centuries. Young Muslims in Bulgaria today strive to balance secular education with religious learning, whether through mosque programs or teachings within the family. Although visible levels of religiosity may vary, Islamic identity continues to hold deep significance, especially among younger generations seeking to reconnect with their historical and cultural heritage. In addition, Bulgaria is home to some of the oldest and most historically significant Islamic architectural sites in the Balkans, standing as enduring witnesses to the long journey of Islam in the region. Many of Bulgaria's historic Islamic sites date back to the period of the Ottoman Empire. One of the most notable is the Banja Bashi Mosque in Sofia, built in the 16th century by the renowned Ottoman architect Mimar Sinan. To this day, the mosque remains an active place of worship for the Muslim community. Another important site is the Tombol Mosque in Shumen, the largest mosque in Bulgaria, which serves as a center for cultural and educational activities for Muslims. There is also the Ibrahim Pasha Mosque, regarded as one of the most magnificent Ottoman mosques in the Balkan region. Other historic mosques across Bulgaria have faced different destinies. Some have been carefully preserved, others have been repurposed, while many remain only as ruins. Together, they reflect the long and complex layers of Bulgarian history. These buildings are far more than historical monuments. They are reminders of a time when Islam was an integral part of public life in the region. They also stand as symbols of the resilience of the Muslim community after periods of neglect, destruction, and forced assimilation, especially during the communist era. For Bulgarian Muslims, history is never truly distant from their daily lives. Memories of forced name changes, the closure of mosques, and restrictions on religious practices during the 20th century still echo within families and communities. Yet today tells a different story, a story of gradual revival and renewed hope, as cultural traditions and religious identity slowly come back to life. At the same time, the Muslim community in Bulgaria continues to emphasize the importance of peaceful coexistence with the wider society. They do not see themselves as outsiders, but as an inseparable part of Bulgaria's national history, culture, and social life.